They don't make it easy. Hey, what's up guys, Pascal here, and in this video I want to test the low-light capabilities of the Insta360 One R 1-inch edition, and I want to compare it with the GoPro Hero 8. I did some test shots before and the results that I got was completely not what I expected, so definitely keep watching to the end. And I would say let's start with the settings that I used on both cameras. Like I set both cameras to 4K to make it equal and also to enhance the low-light capabilities of the Insta360 One R a bit more, because that's better than the full resolution of 5.3K for low light. What I also did, I set the shutter speed manually. I set it to 1/48 of a second on the GoPro Hero 8, which I couldn't do on the Insta360 One R, so there I set it to 1/50 of a second, which is also totally fine. So this is also the settings that I can generally recommend if you shoot in low light, because keeping the shutter speed a bit lower is important so that more light hits the sensor and therefore you get better results. So aside from that, I also adjusted the ISO manually, but I changed it from shot to shot, so I will talk about that when we look into the test shots, which is now. So that's the first test shot that I did. You see my living room here. On the left side you see the Insta360 One R 1-inch edition, and on the right side the GoPro Hero 8. I would say straight out of camera it both looks usable. There's definitely noise in it, which the noise level are actually quite similar, but it's still in a level that is okay. I shot that at ISO 400 on both cameras. But I must also say that there was still a good amount of light, so it was not too hard for these cameras. What I also saw here is that from the GoPro, the automatic white balance actually worked a little bit better. Like, it looks a bit warmer than on the Insta360 One R, and that was actually how it looked in reality. So the colors of the GoPro Hero 8 in this shot at least definitely worked a bit better, the automatic white balance. And what you also see now is a shot that I edited using the Insta360 One R Studio app on my computer, and there I applied noise reduction, and there you can actually see that this shot now looks really clean, much cleaner than the GoPro actually. And that's also what I want to talk about here. The Insta360 One R 1-inch edition, or One R in general, definitely has the advantage here with the Insta360 app. So now let's come to the second test. This is the other side of my living room, and here when I shot ISO 400 as well, then the Insta360 was actually way too dark. The GoPro Hero 8 handled ISO 400 way better, and that's why I changed the ISO settings here. So at first I went to ISO 1600 on the Insta360 and to ISO 800 on the GoPro Hero 8. I did that because on the small screen of the Insta360 One R, this ISO level actually looked the best, but you can definitely tell that in both cameras there is a lot of noise going on. I would not really say that this is usable anymore. So in the next shot, what I did, I used ISO 800 on the Insta360 and ISO 400 again on the GoPro Hero 8. As you can see, the noise levels look a bit better, but it's clearly also a bit darker. Therefore, I must also say that on the Insta360 One R, the colors in this shot now look a bit more natural. And again here, when I now put that into the Studio app of Insta360, you can definitely tell that the image suddenly looks very clean and absolutely usable. So again, here Insta360 has an advantage because of the Studio app. Now the thing is, of course, I could do the same thing with the GoPro Hero 8. I could use a noise reduction software like Neat Video, for example, and then I expect to get about the same results. But the thing is that this noise reduction software is not included with the GoPro Hero 8, but it's included with the Insta360 One R. So on the Insta360 One R, you don't pay anything extra. And I think that's actually a huge advantage here. Okay, let's come to the third test here, and I already did that yesterday here in my studio setting, but I completely messed up the audio. I did not plug the audio cable perfectly in my Fujifilm X-T4, and therefore it used the internal audio that completely messed up everything. So I decided to re-record the video here. But now I show you the footage here of the GoPro Hero 8 and the Insta360 One R, and as you can definitely tell under these conditions, the Insta360 One R is definitely the winner here. I had both cameras at 400 ISO, and what you can tell here in the GoPro Hero 8, it just makes my face completely flat. Like, you can see there is not much detail anymore in my flat. It looks really bad. And on the Insta360 One R, that doesn't happen. There my face actually looks pretty good. There's a little bit of noise in there, but I think after uploading that to YouTube, because of the YouTube compression, you won't really notice that noise anymore anyway. So there in that clip I probably won't even do noise reduction. But let's also have a look here when I apply noise reduction via the Insta360 app. As you can see, it looks perfectly clean and my face is still pretty detailed. It's not as good as with my Fujifilm X-T4 or other bigger sensor cameras like APS-C full frame, but it's definitely usable. So overall from this test I can only tell that it depends a bit on the situation. Like if you have a lot of flat surfaces without much detail, then the GoPro Hero 8 does a bit better job, at least straight out of camera after using the app. The Insta360 is better. But if you do a lot of shots of yourself or of people in general or more detailed stuff, then the Insta360 One R 1" edition definitely has the advantage here. So I would say at the bottom line, we want to get shots of people most of the time, so the Insta360 One R is definitely the better option. But aside from that, what I think is that many of you guys watching this video don't actually shoot that much in low light probably. So if you only get the occasional low light shots, then both cameras will be totally fine. And that's why I think that you should also have a look into the Insta360 One R Twin Edition, because there you get a 360 camera and an action camera in one package. And that's great because that allows you to get so many different shots and you can cover more angles and so on. You can reposition it in post and so on. So that's a really cool setup actually, especially if you want to do vlogging and a lot of storytelling. And Insta360 actually has an end of season sale going on right now where you get 10% off until the 4th of September. So if you're looking into one of those cameras anywhere right now, then I would say that's a good chance for you to save a bit of money. I will leave a link to that in the description below, so just check it out. Aside from that, I hope you enjoyed this video and you got some ideas on how these cameras look in low light conditions. If yes, then please leave me a thumbs up, and also don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell notifications button for upcoming videos.